told me something wasn't right. I said something's wrong, and I don't remember what happened after that with my body. I remember seeing my body lying on the floor of the doctor's office where I had fallen. My brother was losing his mind. And then they grabbed me by my feet and just dragged me into the back. And at that point, I kind of floated up through the building and into space. And I remember moving through space and watching Earth and the moon kind of go away, and then just into a light. And then I was in this interesting space, and it was this kind of crystal garden is what I call it, the crystal garden. It was this beautiful nighttime garden, clear sky, all the stars were there. The moon was in the wrong place. Like the moon seemed too high and like just wasn't where it seemed like it should be. I could see a big wash of very, very white sand all around this little oasis garden, and a city in the distance that looked like it was made from crystal. Everything was crystal. All the plants were crystal, everything was crystal. The entire back wall of this garden was full of these kind of almost Eastern looking pagodas, really lacy, like you see in India, like the meditation pagodas you see in India. They looked like that, but made of crystal, and they were beds. And there were 6 or 7 of them, and there was no one else there but me. And I just kind of walked around and looked for a minute. It was very silent, no real air. I didn't feel any like wind or scent or anything like that. I did notice that all of the items, if I looked at them closely, in the crystal were every sacred symbol I'd ever seen in like a very pale purple glow, just running through, almost like there was a stream of them running through this whole thing. And so I kind of sat down on the ground because I didn't know what to do, and I saw a being came. It was in an amorphous kind of lotus type shape of light, and it was all swirling, and I felt very safe and comforted, and it was communicating with me, but it was all mental. It wasn't even really words. It was feelings that became concepts, I guess. It was the best way to put it. But they told me that I was being worked on, and that they were there to comfort me and to keep me company until my body was ready for me to return. And I took this with complete aplomb, which didn't make sense to me. Like when I finally recovered, I was like, why was I so calm? But they told me they were fixing my body. And so they said, in the meantime, we're going to give you some advice. And they showed me a few examples of my life. It wasn't what I've heard from others describe as like a life review. It was more, they showed me examples of ways in which I was on the wrong track. I was kind of a troubled teen. I was using a lot of drugs. I was partying a lot, I wasn't really concentrating on school and applying myself. I was on track to ruin my life. And they showed me the ways in which I was doing that, but they also showed me things like I was a very rigid person, and I was very judgmental. I was very much an intellectual elitist at the time. And they were showing me how my rigidity and some of the ways that I would react to others would hurt them. So it was more that they would show me the way I would react in a situation, and then they would show me how the other person was affected by it, either how they felt or something that they went on to do because of influence from my negative words or actions that then affected them negatively. But it was very much in a loving kind of, like, you're not being punished. We know you were a child when you did these things, but you're almost an adult now. It's time to stop, and change. And the other thing that they told me at the time was, you are on the cusp of 2 choices. You can either marry the person you're with and have children and go on to have, a very mainstream but comfortable life, or you can choose not to do either of those things ever. And you will go on to have a very interesting and chaotic life, but it will be more rewarding, but more difficult. I did choose that path. I chose the second path. I'm very glad I did. But, they made me very aware that I would be giving up the potential for children in that choice. And I said, all right. And then they showed me some things. They said, we're going to show you a little bit about what is how things work. And I'm like, how things work? What? And they showed me that the concept of heaven that I had been taught was not exactly accurate, and that it was more like widely available to everyone, that everyone goes there, everyone's soul goes there, whether you're a good or a bad person, no matter what your religion is or lack thereof, that it didn't really matter, what your labels were, that sort of thing. You would go to the same place. It's just that your experience there would be different depending on what you needed, what your soul needed, and what your soul family did. They showed me about soul families. They revealed a couple people in my life that were part of my soul family, that I had in my life then and still do now. And then they just kind of sent me back. It was not, I didn't have like a return journey at all. I just woke up in the intensive care unit.